Welcome back, everyone, to Unified. My name is Fel. Also joined here today by Reese by my side. Unfortunately, we're not going to have Chief up here on the casting booth this evening, but I'm here to take place for him. We've got a fun game between GDK versus Emergence, the only game that'll be in play as a couple of reschedules and forfeits went along the way, as this is technically the last week of the regular season. After Thanksgiving break, it's going to be in the playoffs, so that'll be a lot more enjoyable to talk about since everything is kind of back on a clean slate, I suppose. Reese, how are you feeling today, man?
Doing all right. We've had kind of some late calls come in surrounding the
Yeah.
situation with the postseason. I joined up in the Discord and we were talking about like, oh, one of the groups is guaranteed. Now it's not because Oblivion might have disbanded. It might not have disbanded. They might pug it out. We don't really know. It's hard to say, but we will have more questions answered for you. I imagine by tomorrow night, probably there'll be a Twitter post that goes up, telling you which teams are in the playoffs, which are not. I'm really hoping that Overture Gaming make it into the playoffs because I got my boy Sirius on the roster over there, but there's still a chance that they do not jump forward into fourth place. But speaking of games, we've got one tonight which might matter or it might not matter. We don't really know. And one team, GDK, I definitely know is going to be having a little bit of fun. In fact, as we were preparing for the broadcast, fellow, I saw them recruiting players for the match on the timeline.
Yeah, one of the main reasons why they were not able to start at the normal time, they were looking for people. They've been kind of all over the place due to Reese, and I've been talking with some of them personally, so it happens. On the bright side, though, they had enough respect, despite the fact they're not going to qualify for the playoffs. They're still going to play their match, which is always something nice. So we can go talk about GDK versus Emergence here, bring up their roster in a little while, and see what we have in store for this best of one series. I don't think Emergence's team has really changed all that much. Son of Finn is still there. Juan, Warrior, Perplexed, and Talon, all names we know. And for the side of GDK, it's Luck, Power, Blue Fishy, Super Vax, and Proxy, which I don't know if that roster is entirely accurate, but if it was, I would pretty much know and have played with all of these players beforehand, so I know them very,
Yeah.
very well.
Well, I do know, at least for one piece, GDK have Hazmat playing. I think he's replacing Blue Fishy. I know for certain that Luck is in
Probably.
the lobby. I imagine Proxy will be as well. He's played most of their games in Power 2. We had him last week. Was it last week? Whenever last time GDK were on a Monday broadcast, he was there. I remember casting that game when I was there with Chief, and we actually have the roster so helpfully picked up by our observer, so I can get you the full lowdown on everyone that's in the team. It's Zers coming over from Cosmic Wolf. He's sort of snuck under the fence alongside Noodle. We won't go into specifics about how the ruling works on that one, but you've got Hazmat here as well. You've also got Power coming on the roster, him being one of the more regular members, and Luck with Proxy not being here today. On Emergence, they have a substitute as well. I was surprised to see that, but they've got Engage, who recently dropped off from another UPL team. I believe it might have been, was it Achieve Esports who dropped their roster? We really have had so many changes towards the end of this stage. I was another one of the teams that had disbanded as well. I'm bringing up the roster just so I can double check. It was 303 Esports, actually, that he was playing on there. So he's coming over, and we're having a substitute match, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy Talon, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's played on either Cursed Ascension or a different team that you mentioned, Achieve, one of the two.
Maybe.
So he's been, he's been jumping islands, hopping islands from time to time here too. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place, but it's a fun match almost to completely end off the regular season. As I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 90% sure this is the last played game for
Right.
the regular season. Actually, there might be some matches tomorrow, but we're
Maybe,
not
yeah. We have a
completely
lot of
sure. Yeah.
very maybe games this week. We've had a couple of
Yeah.
forfeits. We've had teams that are
Hmm.
dropping out to get ready for SCS. With that being said, we got the rosters out of the way. We know who's in the server. Let's go take a look at the map bans and chat about where we'll be headed for this best of one on the Monday game for week number 7. Fortunately, somber. We're going to cafe. Of
Uh,
course. I asked Hazmat why we're going to cafe, and all he said was we were not going to go to Chalet after we got whooped last time we went there. So it's a settling here on the Cafe Dostoevsky map.
Yeah, Cafe. It is a map that really hasn't changed that much in terms of play style. You can go for very aggressive roams, waste a lot of time because Cafe is one of those bigger maps in the comp pool. That's pretty set in standard. You go for some extensions from time to time. Utility's a really big thing. So almost everyone knows how to play Cafe. It's kind of like Oregon where it hasn't seen a lot of change in terms of team composition. So you should, in theory, know what you're doing on that map. Now, for a team that's picked up a couple of players last second, maybe they're not going to be as coordinated, but Cafe is still Cafe. If you've seen enough Pro League or if you played enough of it with your regular 5-man team, you should be fine in theory. But that's the big word, only theoretical.
Yeah, it's funny we go to Cafe because actually just yesterday I casted a real stinker on Cafe Dostoevsky. It was a game between two European kind of T3 teams in First Blood yesterday morning, and it was like 7-1 at one point after, round 7, after the second half, and I was like, wow, quick game. Nope, that's not how things went. The other team came back for 5 rounds in a row and then won in a 3-round overtime. It was a long game and a game that was full of some very awkward moments. I think Cafe Dostoevsky could have a couple of those as well. Emergence are a team that I imagine is probably going to try a little bit harder. They realize that this is an opportunity to, get some practice in. I know for a fact that Emergence do scrim probably about 3 or 4 times a week. Now, Thanksgiving week, maybe not. Maybe people are having fun on vacation, this and that. Probably not going as hard, on the 6-6 scrims, 3 hours, 5 hours a day. But GDK are a pickup team, and I don't want to mince words about them. They're going to be pugging this out.
Yeah, it's also on Power's birthday. So a very happy birthday to you, my friend. Hopefully you can go and get some sick highlight reels for your Twitter and go into post those and have a good laugh and maybe at me in it too, perhaps. You never know. All that we know now is that we already have 3 out of the 4 bands confirmed. Thatcher, Flores, Valkyrie in that order, with the final one being Mira. So this is incredibly normal if you're looking at Cafe for the ban phase. I would have probably preferred to Omai if you're going to end up banning out that Flores, but it's not the end of the world. Some teams, shockingly enough, don't even prefer bringing out the Omai. They like bringing more shields instead. So I'm not really going to be that agitated about Mira or the Valk being banned instead of that Omai. This is all still, like I said, incredibly normal. I think the only thing that isn't normal is that Ying pick. That's a little more unorthodox, which explains why it got picked off of onto the Ayana.
Oh, well, you say that, but look at this. Last second, Noodle
Oh
has kind of snuck in through the back door and is brought to Caviera, but he will 6-pick onto Thunderbird. Oh, no.
You never know.
Still thinking about it? Nope, he'll lock in on Thunderbird. That's what he was going to play. I think it was actually a random pick because of how late it was for the Caviera. That would be my suspicion. Not sure if you agree, but I don't know. Caviera, the game is always trying to put you on the most random operator. Like if you've ever had a random pick in rank, it just feels like you come back from whatever you were off doing, and you've just got the most not helpful operator ever.
Yep. I can wholeheartedly agree. One of my buddies would always get auto-picked Clash if they were AFK. It got so bad to a point where he made an alternate account and he just never bought Clash. It would never happen. It was one of the funniest things I've gotten to see in action because he almost always got Clash on those picks. But anyways, into the game, yeah, no shocking out of this world picks coming in through. Everything looks pretty straightforward. The common extensions coming in through Pixel as well, so nothing too shocking here on round number 1 for this top floor hold. A C4 trick is being attempted. It was originally by Hazmat, but he went to go on a bit of a spawn peek, and he will find the pick on towards Warriors. So that's a phenomenal start for GDK. And if this C4 by Noodle lands, that could be a 5-on-3 potentially. It gets thrown out, but it's far too late, and the Nomad will manage to dodge it there.
Well, the context for that reference Hazmat makes, he said, "You clearly don't know me if you think I am playing Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege and not rushing every round and running out every round, or spawn peeking, doing this or that." Hazmat with a kill against Warrior kind of gives him a little bit of an attitude check there with the AUG of all weapons on the spawn peek. I'm not sure how the discussion was had that Hazmat is the one who goes on to Cade. Maybe Zers did a little bit of negotiating there to meander his way onto the Jaeger role, but either way, now that Emergence have lost to Zofia, it does seem like a little bit of a slower round.
Yeah, especially since you could have utilized that stop destruction underneath, maybe remove some of these anchor positions. Now you're going to have to go for a very linear take, which is still being attempted, not completely done here. Run out will be attempted by Zers, but Engage will shut that down, and tags a little bit of damage on towards Noodle, but he's not able to confirm that pick. So we're only on even footing here between Emergence as GDK as they finally enter the building and only start to get a small look at what they're dealing with here on this first round. About a minute 20 left on the board, and they're still trying to throw out Utah to flush out that pixel extension, but GDK, they've already peeled away at just the right time.
Gotta be careful when you make that decision to fall back, either stay too long and you get blown up. Noodle is rotating over to the bakery where he's preparing to run out from the doorway. Seeing if Emergence have anyone on the rappel. They do. It's Engage. It's the Nomad. And Talon, quickly, he's like, "No, you're not getting away for that move for free. I'm going to trade it out." And Cyrus has got quite the comment for that one in response. As the Cade just walks into the middle of Pixel. There was no air jab on the door. Hazmat for a third kill as Talon tries to fight his way through. The Cade's got the cross angle, and the Sledge steps into bar back store, and he meets the SMG-11 for a GDK defensive win.
I mean, that entire round was just aggression and some high dominance by GDK, in all honesty. Going for those runouts, always keeping Emergence on their toes, really did give them that forward advantage. And because the Nomad died, Engage got ran out on by Noodle as he rotated around the entire map to confirm that kill. There was no air jab located near the pixel doorway leading into Piano, so it was a very easy run-in by Hazmat to confirm a couple more frags to pad his KDR. Overall, just a great round and really catching Emergence off guard from the get-go.
And that's what I would expect out of this game. GDK are going to try to sneak in, creep in. Every time they can make a play, they're going to try to do it. And that's what we see there. Whether it's the Cade who's spawn peeking from Piano or the Thunderbird just being like, "It's my time to shine. And I'm going to jump out of that bakery door and find my kill." Emergence have to realize on Cafe, if you try to play like that against the bug stack, if you don't got the Claymore or the flank drone and you're not checking the windows as you leave the spawn, GDK are going to have a classic matchup, and they are going to be really feeling themselves because Cafe Dostoevsky, while, you know, maybe less so than Coastline, if you think about it, the structured map doesn't always lend to, you know, the most aggressive play style. But if you as an attacker, if you're really passive, if you're really, you know, playing normal Siege and the way we all expect the game to be played, and the defense just does random things in response to that, right, they just get the advantage because they get to read you, make their decisions, and act with full confidence.
Oh, get to see a little more confidence by Hazmat. He's attempting the same exact spawn peek near Piano, but with the AA-12, one of my personal favorite meme guns to bring out. Although it is a very strong weapon, it's just matter of fact that the Alda and also the MX-4 Storm are much better in comparison, and it's not going to be Hazmat with that long-range slug shotgun to find the first pick. It's actually going to be Noodle with the spear to rip Son of Finn to shreds and start off the early advantage once again to GDK. It's almost quickly refragged, and the second swing confirmed by Hazmat will bring it in towards that 4v4 yet again, but it doesn't look like GDK is really going to be slowing down this pain train as Noodle wants to get aggressive but needs to break that air jab first.
Well, he gets the air jab, and another one is sent up. This time it's broken as well, and the Nomad is just like, could you please stop shooting all of my air jabs? Each time I try to put one down, you get right up in my face, and you remove that utility, which is curious little mini game. There, Warrior adjust over towards Wedding. He'll establish the crossfire. Zers tried to ego challenge the front door, maybe not realizing how tight of an angle Engage had on it. Now that Sledge creeps down, they should be able to apply the pressure on the player inside of Coat. That's Noodle, who still continues to hold here, but he's got the Kona station, so he can overheal, he can play with confidence, knowing that he is going to have a distinct health advantage over any attackers who try to uproot him from this position.
Speaking of HP, Perplexed has probably seen better days on the HP category. Some 2 shots could probably bring him down to his knees, but that's not going to happen just yet. Emergence is still on fire in the kill category. Engage, in fact, going for the plant as there's brilliant coverage, and Noodle has to try to clutch in the 1vx, but he's only going to manage to secure 1 frag. Emergence will manage to steal away around from GDK's hands, and it looks like the aggression has finally been slowed down, but I don't feel like GDK is going to try to stop in that department anytime soon.
I mean, they don't have to. They don't.
No.
It's not like there's the coach in the back or like the expecting org owner that's going to be like, come on, guys, you gotta try. You gotta, take what you learned in practice and put it out into the field, because there wasn't practice. Hazmat has been, playing Valorant. I don't think Cosmic Wolf scrim more than 1 time a week, and they even said to me that they use their strategies very rarely. Like, they just do default stuff, and they're surely not going to be using strategies when they come to sub in for a league game on a team that is not going to go into playoffs. Like, Zers and Noodle are just going to start shooting people. And that's what they did last round. Maybe not so much for Zerus. He's the one who's been getting shot more often than not. And Noodle has been the one who has really fought all Emergence members tooth and nail. Unfortunately, the GDK anchors really were not as successful as they would have wanted. Perhaps the Clash that you mentioned earlier does need to make an appearance.
And honestly, Clash is semi-viable on Cafe, especially when Mira is banned. I coined the term mobile Mira for a Clash. If you want to go for an extension towards Pixel but don't want to put a shield directly in there, you can set up near bathroom and it can do the same thing. Put a couple ADSs next to that Clash, and it can be very difficult to remove her from that power position. But going in towards Double Kitchen, probably not. What a shot, though, by Noodle off the rip. I kind of called it. We're probably not going to see GDK stopping this aggression, no matter what actually ends up getting put in front of them. And it appears that Perplex was trying to run into some gunfire, and he'll catch it almost perfectly, as he's already gone and brought down 6 feet under.
Well, you mentioned coining the term mobile Mira, and me and Chief were actually talking the other day. I don't have a term that I've coined. I need to come up with one. I need to figure out some kind of weird strategy thing about seeds that I can call my own. Chief has one. Now I suddenly have blanked on it. But when we were talking about it, we were talking about Jonah, Jay's Wills, his phrase, the collegiate special. Maybe we'll come up with one this game, like the hazmat effect. I don't know.
That would be simply brilliant. And if Power found a shot from this angle, that'd be brilliant as well. But Warrior will deny that from even being a possibility. He's already dead. So once again, we're at completely even ground, 4-on-4 situation. I feel like I've said that several times, but it's been the situation that's gone down. Zers trying to hold the vertical angle up above will get pushed back just a tad bit. However, he will remain alive to maybe relocate and possibly stop this post-plant situation. Emergence, they're setting up here for that kitchen push. However, they don't have anyone to deny Noodle or Zers from playing with this vertical angle, so if they do not land some kind of lucky nade or maybe get a nice shot landed onto them, this could be a very deadly setup here moving towards this execution stick.
Yeah, if you haven't dealt with the vertical and it's under a minute left, there are some questions that I begin to ask. Nade comes through, so I cooked for a little too long, but Talon quickly makes up for that with the kill. Effects on target against the Jaeger. A man advantage now, still have to be considerate about the vertical play up above, but they could overwhelm and get out of dodge. The head of the mute spotted, but it's Zers who wins the fight. It's Noodle, guns down 2 to make it 6 kills in 3 rounds, and Gage is racing up the red stairs, realizes time is running out, and Noodle will not get a 7th here in round number 3 as he's flattened by the AK-74. Hazmat is playing solo back on the side, and Engage comes very close to blasting him through the wall, but quick work and the C4 call it in from Hazmat as GDK have got another round win.
That's always my biggest problem too with going for a bakery push is if you do not clear out the vertical angles up above, it's going to be very challenging to actually push through the hard destruction that you have engaged in. And that's one of the main reasons why Emergence got completely locked out of the site was because Noodle and also Zers up above never got dealt with that entire round. And if it were not for their brilliant shots landed and just their great positioning, that could have been a round win in theory by Emergence because they were able to get away with some nasty shots. But not able to happen. Bar and Cocktail, though, being reattempted here by GDK, and I was really about to question that Rook pick, Reese, but it does get 6-picked onto the Kaid, so I'm not going to need to go completely ape this time around. But as that being on the Rook, that wouldn't have been too shocking, because I feel like we all would have known what he would have did on the Rook.
Are we just going to continue to have... I didn't catch it, but does Power have the ACS-12 still? Is he...
That was Hazmat who was rocking it. Maybe Power has
they
been...
both had it, at least one round.
I know they went both Alibi and Pardon Maestro one round. I think you're right, but I can't recall what Power was actually bringing to the table. I think he died before he even shot a single bullet.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on
police.
There as well. He's not going to show it to us. He's still on the site reconstruction. I'll just wait for him. But,
if he had the shotgun for it, then he probably wouldn't have been using the bailiff.
Yeah, you're right.
Honestly.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. He probably would have been using the ACS as well. Noodle's going to go for another episode of the game. Day C4. We'll see if it's successful. I think Perplex is the only one really close to that position, and I'm sure as the Ash has learned from her many collegiate lessons, you don't rappel up from that section of the building unless you're trying to shake hands with danger and get blown sky high by the C4. Xenophin is closing in on the position as Noodle is still waiting with the C4, but nobody quite ready to test it as of yet, and I think they've given up on it. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going near that hatch, and that's smart, to say the least.
No initial pick. You hear in the background, I believe Hazmat ripped his C4, tried to detonate it, but it's a dud, unfortunately. No first blood in the first minute of the round. It remains a 5-on-5 as Emergence will try to just play defaults. Get that wall opened up leading into Ticket. I believe the call-out is break that shield leading in towards Pixel and then start going for that site execution. A heaping amount of damage is done by, I believe, a grenade landed by Jimmy Fallon, or Talon, I should say, my mistake. But luck still remains on the board, but he's on such little HP. Luckily, though, the Conasation will bring him back up to just underneath half health, so he might be able to utilize those gas canisters when the post plant is being attempted.
Perplex has got some kind of play brewing here with the breaching round. ADS captures the first, but the second goes through, and it destroys the wooden makeup of that outer dot inside of the bar area. A second breaching round, or perhaps even a lifeline out of Warrior, is through to get rid of an evil line. Hazmat with the opener, however, not able to make it a multi-kill as he's traded out in kind for that maneuver. But you could certainly say that Emergence have struggled from the effects of the time waste here and by a somewhat aggressive GDK defense, though that aggression does, kind of need to be tempered a little bit. The Maestro goes down. That's Power's 4th round without impact, without any kills or meaningful damage other than the assist. Warrior pours in for 2 kills. Lockadzer is down, C4 called up, but in the position at the trash plant, it's unsuccessful, and now Noodle has to fight up the stairs. It's a crack shot on a Warrior. Makes this look a little bit more doable. Jimmy Talon is perhaps a bit distracted by the evil eye. Oh, here he comes. Noodle rounds the corner. He spots the plant, but no, he chokes it against Son of Finn. He can't deny the plant. and that's the round for the offense.
Man, and GDK had phenomenal pacing on that round. They were forcing the hand of Emergence quite well, but out of nowhere, they just sprung into action and just took the one-on-ones and simply won them, essentially. I really can't describe it any other way. And GDK, they'll end up trying to reattempt going back up above and towards Bar and Cocktail. I don't know how I feel about this, especially since we haven't seen any of the middle floor sites of Mining Room or Reading, and both of them can be argued to be very decent sites to play around. I feel like being able to roam and actually extend more into the map than just Pixel has helped GDK a massive amount because they like to play aggressive, they like to go for early picks, and that round where they weren't able to start off with a first blood until the last minute and a half of the round, that did allow for Emergence to have a little more breathing room going in for that post-plant situation. It just, yeah, it leads a lot of questions in my mind, to be honest, Reese, but I want to hear your thoughts on the reattempt here back up above.
Well, I feel like it's maybe more so GDK are like, I don't want to defend the vertical extension. Like, they realize that you need to have kind of a strategy. There are plenty of defaults, you know, for that site. You go above, play the castle, and, you know, you do all the openings you make and reinforcements and stuff like that. Here goes Hazmat. He's gonna see, I don't know if anyone has spawned Christmas. One player said they were. But they lied. Nobody has spawned by the Christmas market. I was hoping we would have some kind of a exchange. We will have one, as Warrior thought he was gonna get the better of the Kate in that move, but turns out Hazmat is simply better.
They were trying to debate Hazmat, and he went on the opposite single window to try to blind fire against Hazmat, and it just did not work. And I think the Nitro got shot mid-air before detonation. So Emergence will not lose any more life so far, other than Warrior trying to be a cheeky lad, but Hazmat was just simply quicker on the draw. First minute will finally come to an end, and it's what I talked about last round, except we actually have that first pick happen in the first minute or so. So GDK starting out on the right foot. Let's just hope they can continue this success moving forward. Maybe if Power doesn't get droned out here next to the single bar top in Piano, he might be able to find some kind of lucky frag before getting traded on out. That would be massive for Power, mostly because that's his first pick, but that would still keep the man advantage in the way of GDK and just cost a little bit more life on the side of Emergence.
Okay. I don't know what took Talon that long. That just now. He's rappelling up to the HVAC balcony, but, well, Noodle was sitting down there in the hallway, not a common position for a defender to be. Can you blame Talon too much? Well, I don't know. Now Emergence do not have any control, so what they're going to do is they're going to be like, nah, we're not taking map control. We're going to send a player in from Heaven 2. We'll drop the Skylight, though. The Cade, look at Hazmat. He's got the Z-ping. Zerus is going to try to bait out the quickness here. And eventually they're going to make the call. Looks like they do have intel on Hazmat's position. The Nomad, missed that first shot. Hazmat might not allow you a second. And the Nomad, she'll go down. The breaching charge blows up in Hazmat's face. The Ashes look in the wrong direction. Whips around for a kill against the Moroccan operator. As all of a sudden, Emergence have made this suddenly a little bit doable. The smoke taken out by Sudafin. Perplex just got one. He'll make it a second. Emergence, how do they come in at the last second?
Literally just caught Hazmat with his pants down, essentially. I cannot fathom how well Perplex played that, despite not really having the best of positioning against the Kaid. Yeah, you've got to give credit where credit is due. That was just simply well played, given the low amount of cards you had to work with in that situation. Yeah, I don't know how in God's name GDK allowed that to be thrown, but I guess they'll reattempt going double kitchen instead for their last defensive half. Yeah, that was just a complete ringer of a round, in all honesty, Reese. I don't know any better way to describe that.
That was a little unusual, but the big props do go to Perplexed there, as I think he was the reason why Emergence won that round. I don't know how Hazmat managed to troll that one, after killing the Nomad, who arguably had him dead to rights on positioning. And then the Ash is just like, maybe I should have came in a little earlier. Maybe if I had, the Nomad wouldn't have died. But, you know, better late than never, I guess. And Perplex comes in, and he just kills his way through everyone that steps in front of him from GDK.
Just not being able to have your gun up at the right time. Given the fact that there just has not been a lot of time management done properly by Emergence, they kind of need to work for these picks, and GDK, it looks like they just weren't entirely ready for it. It seems the only two players that have been ready for gun engagements has been mostly Hazmat and Noodle. They're the only ones that are going positive right now, and the only players that have reached past a single kill for GDK. Emergence overall are looking well, team-based, they're all doing their due diligence, my mistake, and GDK, yeah, they just kind of look all over the place. Very sporadic, which is not the best phrase to say when you are defending on Cafe. So this first half might entail a very one-sided affair for Emergence, so long as they continue to play their cards right and just take advantage of the weaknesses that GDK have been openly showing throughout this first half.
A nice little move from Noodle, preparing to see if anyone will drop the skylight, but the push doesn't come, and so the Thunderbird quickly will adjust her position. Oh, maybe not. Maybe Noodle is still going to kind of hang around this spot as he waits for somebody from Emergence to perhaps test their luck. Peek over the edge of that balcony and give the Spear a free kill. There is one at the skylight, and they might be coming down eventually. But Noodle is going to have to be very patient about this. An attack that is also maybe a little slower than normal. The top floor not really defended, but Emergence still spending a mighty amount of their push. And look at Engage, for example. He's just watching down. Perplex is worried about this other defensive quantity on the second floor that they haven't really isolated yet. They haven't really droned it out all the way. And, you know, on this kitchen site, this is exactly what the defense want. Minimal investment into the roam and huge sweeping rewards on the time.
They have a couple of Nitros to play with, Toxic Babes on board as well, Luck, a vital pick on towards Talon. So Emergence really falling apart at the seams on this last attacking round for them. They'll still attempt to do a little bit of vertical play, but it'll be very difficult now that the sledge is off the board. Trying to spot out that kite, Electro Claw, Perplexed almost fishes out power, but he'll manage to dodge that first engagement, attempt a second one on towards Son of Finn, but is not going to get that lucky. So Son of Finn will remain alive as Emergence needs all the life force that they can gather up and muster. Nitro gets tossed, but no one's actually inside of Dining Room, so everyone will remain alive, but there's very little time to play around as well. The last 20 seconds, no one's dealt with the minor extensions in play. Plenty of people falling back in towards reception, and also the Whiskey Bar top. Perplexed, one pick goes in through. Son of Finn will double down. Now a 2-on-2, but time is still a massive thing to worry about here for Emergence. There's only 8 seconds left. Son of Finn, a third on the round. It's just Power left alive, but he only has to stall for 3 more seconds. Spots out the Habana, but she'll end up sticking this one. There's coverage to be attempted here, and Perplex will not miss his shots. What a troll by GDK, as Emergence will come out on top and make it a 4-2 split, moving in the second half.
Oh, jeez. How do you give those away? GDK, come on. The first round, that was all right. The second one there, that's just brutal. Emergence are just like, you know, if you peek us, we're going to take those fights. And you don't need to do that. You need to go back to the site. I feel like I'm Chief right now. This is like a Chief thing to do. You just got to go back to the site and play those crossfires. Because if you do that, the GDK, they don't get to come in. You put your Toxic Babes up front. You sit on the site. Nope. GDK, they were shooting to shoot. And Emergence, they win those.
Yeah. There's no better way to describe that. Sorry, I'm stammering on my words as to how amazed I was that Emergence somehow won that. They were just gifted a couple opportunities. GDK were incredibly confident in that position because it's a 5-on-3, and there isn't a lot of time for Emergence to find these openings, but somehow, by the grace of God, Emergence will somehow come out on top and make it a 4-2 split, and now they're on the defensive side. And they're running default. Look at this team comp. There's so much utility on the board that if GDK does not have that well of coordination moving in for this pixel clear, they might not ever clear it out to begin with. And especially if Emergence gives GDK a taste of their own medicine and we see an early 5-on-4 due to a spawn peak, this might be, honestly, unwinnable to a certain extent here, Reese.
This is gonna be rough to watch. I just have that feeling about this with GDK. We'll see. Hazmat said he was gonna rush every round, but not seeing a whole lot of rushing. I mean, he was true to his word on the defense. He was spawn peeking, he was shooting people, he was really just having some fun,
having a ball.
But the rest of his team were not so lucky, and they lost some crucial fights, and they gave away what should have been an easy first half. You give Emergence 4 attack wins, they're just gonna win the game. They really are not gonna foul up 3 cafe defenses. Like, how easy is that against a team that's just a pug and is not coordinating? Like, I don't care how much GDK are gonna do random things. They're gonna run in the side on a moment's notice. Like, that's not gonna matter because Emergence just need to close out 3 rounds. And with GDK, you know, having these clear advantages like we just saw, and then it not mattering, that does not give me any more confidence.
Oh, and that's one of their top fraggers dead too. It's something I worried about, but it did take a minute 20 for it to actually become a reality and not just something in the back of my mind. Hazmat is off the board and completely gone from round number 7, relying most of that fragging potential now up to Noodle. He is on the buck, so he could maybe utilize a lot of that vertical presence, but I believe there is a bit of a light roam game afoot by Emergence, so it's not going to be map control for free in the hands of GDK, and they still haven't cleared out a majority of Piano, I'm 90% sure as well. They're kind of just sitting and twiddling their thumbs, hoping that Emergence will make some kind of error in their equations, but they really are not giving GDK the time of day here, Reese.
Zeus is going to rotate. I think he might walk up round. Yeah, that's what he'll do. He's coming in through the basement and will rise to the top of round staircase. He's maybe thinking about a grenade against the player in the back of the cocktail. All but Perplexed, I think, has just sort of spotted him there. Zeus goes around, and surely that'll be the confirmation. Noodle with 2. He's doing his best to try to dig out this round as he's actually stepped inside the objective. There's Zers, and all of a sudden it's like we're in the previous round where the defense have a clear advantage and then the attackers all of a sudden just make something happen out of nothing. Hazmat, you just know he's got to let him know about it. How do you lose that? Because it's so evident. I mean, what are we watching?
This is not the first time either. We're seeing a recurring pattern, Reese, as us humans are great at spotting out patterns for some odd reason. The last minute is a rally call for everyone just to start shooting straight, apparently, if you're on the attacking side. And GDK will now follow in that previously mentioned pattern and secure their first win on the attack. They are still down at a single round deficit, but it's better than being a round or so off of match and technically series point as well, as it is a best of 1. So great recovery by GDK. However, you should not have been giving that. Emergence had a very strong grip on round number 7 and will hopefully try to bring that around here on the 8th. They're going double kitchen with another slightly util based comp. They might try to extend in towards the bakery area perhaps, but they're double reinforcing up the bakery wall, so I doubt that. I'm not too sure what Emergence have in plan except possibly extending into, I don't know, VIP, because they only have 1 shield. However, they have plenty of util denial to set up in that single location.
I have a feeling this game is going to go to overtime now. Like, after seeing these last 3 rounds, it just feels like OT is coming.
What round do you think Power's going to get a kill?
Oh, that's rough. Round 15.
Oh, wow. You think it'll be a 1v1, everything on the line, Power will get the most important frag in the match? All
You'd be
right.
surprised, like, how many games I've seen like that, where somebody just has an absolutely terrible performance the entire match and just wins the one round in overtime. Like, if you win the game, you win the game. You get the elo, you get the elo. And while you can't get to playoffs from this game, and I would imagine the Twitter cred from winning it is probably not incredibly high, it's still a win. It's still bragging rights.
Power's going to be able to put Went 1-11 in stream twice on his Twitter profile. I don't think that was Power, actually. That was one of his other buddies, I think. So I'm sorry, Power, for being so mean to you when it was probably ill-intended. That's my mistake. I'll have to get that fact check later on, but that would be absolutely hilarious if he could at least join in that pattern. So far, though, there's still high hopes for Power. He's on full HP, he's droning out his teammates, he's doing just support things. And you don't need to find a lot of picks to be helpful for your team. That is a true fact, especially about Rainbow Six, where kills don't mean everything. But a majority of these rounds have actually turned down to just simply winning your gunfights, as they've all been blown within the last 30 seconds or so. Emergence trying to find some mid-round picks, perhaps. Son of Finn's got that C4 ripped in his hand. You hear the Velcro being stitched off, and he'll maybe try to toss it up and detonate it in a few short moments. However, no one's actually directly on top of it. He was not able to hear that audio cue, but Habana is almost face planting on top of it. He'll be given a second opportunity. The fact that there's no intel to relay when he should detonate that C4, it's just an educated guess that he hasn't determined when to make.
And the C4, I believe, has... Maybe not. Maybe it was a different one that had already gone sky high. Oh, it eventually does blow up, but nothing much comes of it. In fact, GDK with 2 kills, looking rather decisive here in round number 8. Warrior playing from offsite. That's true for all the defenders, and it's beginning to realize that this kitchen side is not incredibly friendly when it comes to areas that are protected from the vertical. Warrior is nearby to pretty much the only area fitting that category, that being rice, or I think Chief calls it cake for some reason. I don't know where he came up with that one. But, yeah, GDK, even despite being in a 4 versus 3, they only have 20 seconds to execute, and I don't imagine that's going to be particularly fun. Luck picks up one onto Perplex, who's been a player we haven't really talked about much this game, but he's still having a better performance than Power. Warrior's the last one left, and because Emergence haven't won any picks back, unfortunately, Emergence are not even going to be able to defend themselves in this situation, and the round completes for GDK.
Yet again, last second, everyone just falls to the ground. Like there's some sort of play going around here. I guess the attacker-sided curse that Cafe has fallen under, and I guess Power is underneath some kind of curse as well, where he cannot find a frag. But he did have a little bit of an impact on that round, getting his hard destruction down and going for a plant, which could have been helpful if there were more players alive. But Warrior, I'm just picking at straws, though. I'm really trying to make the birthday boy feel included. Not by much, though, sadly. Round number 9, though. A reattempt at bar and cocktail. Not a Goyo in play, though, but I think that single shield in the hands of Smoke should be more than enough. I'm really trying to figure out what the major problems that are occurring by both teams. It's really just not being prepared to completely bust down and go for frags here as a defender, or be prepared for that aggression, because it's happened literally every single round, Reese, where out of nowhere everyone just finds their one kill and just blitzkriegs into sight and goes for a plant, and it has not been countered in these first 8 rounds. I'm not too sure if the 9th one will actually deviate from that pattern either.
I don't really know either, and I'm not going to make any predictions of this game other than the one I made surrounding overtime. But if GDK were to come back after losing those 2 rounds at the end of the first half, such a big troll, you know, this is going to be one of those games where we remember it not for the outcome and for the impact of the match, but we just remember it for the events of what happened. I feel like I've had a couple of those games. I go back into the deep memory banks of UPL, we had a match that had only 5 rounds in total get played because of like a forfeit situation back in the way past when it was Upsurge that we were known as. The forfeit rules were way different. This was like 2020. And sometimes you just get these miracle on ice type games. GDK almost have an entry pick there against Warrior with a pretty sizable amount of damage, and Burris continues to try to hunt for it, but they have something of an obstacle in his way with the magnets and the ADS.
Again, not being able to fully clear out that util is going to be a huge pain for GDK. Unless they manage to find a couple of picks out of nowhere again. That's been a recurring thing, no matter who's on the attacking side, hence why a lot of these round wins have been favored towards the attackers. A little more intel being gathered here by Hazmat, though, as he runs in the Gemini deep into the B bomb site, just to kind of poke and prod, see what his teammates are going to be getting into in these next 30 seconds or so, as we're nearing the second half of round number 9, and GDK don't have a lot on their plate in terms of accomplishments. That shield is still standing up quite high, although GDK is getting ready to destroy it. They've got nades prepped at the ready, but ADSs will catch them to keep Warrior in that position for a little while longer. The last one will come in through, forcing him back and actually bringing him to his death, but he brought Noodle with him down into the afterlife. So a 4-on-4 in this last minute. Reese, who's to be able to come out on top?
Well, GDK, we have seen them excel under very tense conditions without much time to operate, but that's going to be more so on Emergence here. Evil Eye opens up for Son of Finn, but he's not able to get much value out of it. It's immediately destroyed. Hazmat will move forward with the Eon, now realizing that Talon is holding incredibly aggressive. Look at GDK, who also have a player down around in Pillar. Talon makes a crucial move as he's super aggro, misses the shell onto Hazmat, who's inside of Cigar Shop, and what the singular delay that the smoke is causing right now is huge. With Nomad down, I honestly don't think there's enough time to get the res off. If you do, you're really going to be trying to stretch it here. And now that Zurus is joined back, the call is made. They will not go for the revive. Hazmat with a crucial pickup, but the Alda begins to rip right through GDK. Hazmat still trying to pull it out. He has to win a single fight. Engage runs for cover. Hazmat rounds the corner, but the Malusi will fend her off to put Emergence in the lead.
A well-needed round on top of that, too, as it's been nothing but attacker success here on Cafe. That aggression by Smoke, it really paid in dividends. He was prepared to take some gunfights and just stall for time and players, and it worked out. No one could recover Case. No one could revive the Nomad. It was a massive play by Emergence, and all they had to do was simply fall back and wait for the clock to strike 000. That's all that was needed, but it was a kill found at the very end by the Malusi. But still, it was incredibly close. One more round away from potentially match point by Emergence. They do need to win another round to allow that to happen, and it's been the exact opposite of a defensive side of Cafe. This is the only round that's been won so far by Emergence on their defensive side, and this is the first time we've actually seen the middle floor be picked as an objective too. We haven't seen mining or reading room in play up until now, and we haven't also had a castle on the board either, but that's going to be a great tool just to deny a couple of sight lines for GDK and waste a few amount of precious seconds, but not util, as they've got the sledgehammer, which is a hard counter to those castle panels.
Well, Emergence have ended their streak of rounds that were kinda, or maybe off the wall. I feel like we need some sort of a thesaurus to come up with synonyms for strange or weird or outlandish with some of the stuff that's gone on in this match. GDK are going to try and figure out the pace maybe a little bit more with, you know, what they're bringing here. Emergence go to reading. Is this the first time we've had reading? Because GDK did not play it once on their defense, right?
That was, yeah, we haven't seen the middle floor and play the site at all. Maybe my internet died when I said that. That might have been why. It happens. My internet likes to troll sometimes.
We're getting ready for it. Zerus has the hammer.
Oh
Pops
no.
open the door, the castle barricade in the way. One player inside reading. It's going to be so crucial that he wins this fight as the sledgehammer pops it open. It's a 1-for-1 trade. The smoke tries to re-aggress, but this is a huge W for Emergence. They've been able to fend it off as Talon still holding the line. GDK in the man advantage, but look at Warrior up on this balcony. Two players with incredibly low HP, though, even despite that. Warrior goes down, confirmed by Zers and Noodle from the vertical as GDK, they encounter a serious amount of opposition, but win out by sure willpower.
You know what? That was the best move by GDK. I'm not going to lie. That was the first time we had reading room on the board. You can't get a good read of how GDK is going to play around that. And completely ignoring the setup up above and simply going for a rush, especially when playing aggressive this entire best of one, it just simply worked. You went for picks, and now that you have a couple extra step-up players like Zers, who have also been finding a lot of success in the fragging department, it just gave GDK that extra step against Emergent, and it completely caught them off guard. So we're on even footing yet again, but 5-5. I am so shocked that we've gone the distance, and I'm beginning to believe that your call about us seeing a overtime scenario is almost guaranteed at this point. We either have a 7-5 victory by one of these two teams, or we are going to overtime, one or the other.
Yep. 2 more rounds left to play in regulation. And honestly, I'm putting my money on GDK here. I feel like
I hope they win.
I hope they win
That'd be
because
so funny.
there's this huge, like, looming. Power's still not gotten a kill, by the way. There's this huge looming, like, troll face, like, back and forth, like, in chat after every round. They have to say something, and GDK, it just makes you want to root for it because they do things with such swagger that you almost kind of have to chuckle to yourself a little bit when they do, even the most, regular, minute thing.
The only problem, though, with that rush going in through by GDK is it's probably not going to work a second time. So now they have to clear out everything being deployed up above. At least on the bright side, there is no castle to deal with. Instead, there's going to be a Mozzie on the board to hand Flex to gather a little more intel and bring an extra Nitro Cell, which is phenomenal now that GDK is going to actually be trying to utilize that vertical play up above. So maybe they could get caught off guard and maybe a little bit of taste of their own medicine, essentially, with a very lovely explosion in the hands of Emergence, possibly. And Perplexes already on some cams or possibly a drone to spot out anyone early on to get that initial pick. It won't be the Mozzie to find it, though. It's going to be Engaged to get the first blood, and he strikes right on Azer's head and is not going to miss a single bullet in that encounter.
Well, maybe my rooting for GDK has crept back into a little bit of caster curse. Gage is tucked up quite close at this window. Son of Finn chimes in. SMG through the floor against Doodle and Perplexed with a quick C4 as well. How fast this round goes sour for GDK if they don't rush, if they try to full clear. Things go terribly wrong, and Hazmat has to sit in shame as the My Magnet fortunately collects his last remaining frag grenade. Using the replicator, realizes the extension is clear. Nobody's up here anymore, but Perplexed is still lurking inside of the dark corner. And GDK try to drop down into pillar, make some sort of reading play. Things could get rather ugly, and we might have a flawless round.
Well, Gemini gets spotted out. Hazmat tries to go for a wall bang. It's not going to land onto Jimmy Talon at all. And he even throws out a smoke to make sure no one drops the hatch immediately. Just burns through the little amount of time that's left in the back pockets of GDK. And it forced them to go in for a one-way attempt. And Perplex is waiting patiently for that drop down. And as you called it, it'll be endlessly or flawlessly ended. I said it right the first time, but my head tried correcting me. I didn't even say the sentence aloud yet. It's match point territory with Emergence in the lead by a single round. Can GDK bring it back for one more to at least confirm overtime, or will this be the end of the God Squad of gangster disciple killers?
This game better not be endless, or we're going to be in for a wild...
Imagine infinite overtime. Could you imagine?
It would just be that type of game. We've had infinite overtime in UPL before. The regular season of spring? I think it was spring. That's when we had it. We didn't have it for summer. And it felt like it was always like the games that just made you pull your hair out. Those were the ones that you were like, why? This is where overtime, infinite overtime, does not help us. It harms us because the game just needs to be decided. And we never had infinite overtime in any of the UPL finals, from what I remember. Back, no, yeah, no, I don't think we ended up having it. It was a nice experiment. I like it on paper, but it's just like how everybody on paper likes a best of 3 regular season. It's great. It's very competitive. It helps teams. It emphasizes teams that practice, that scrim a little bit more than others. But then you get GDK versus Emergence, and it goes overtime on map 1. And then on map 2, and then on the decider as well, and you're like, maybe we don't need a best of 3 here.
Yeah, maybe we don't need overtime at all, perhaps. You never know. Maybe GDK just wants to go home. Maybe they don't want Power to go 0-11. Maybe he'll be out on the roof the entire match. I do not know, because his stat lines are not looking too hot. The rest of his team, though, has made a valiant comeback in terms of statistics during this second half, and there is a big reason as to why we are possibly looking down a gun barrel of a couple more rounds here on Cafe. Zerg will try to get past the paneling in the wall and has to vault due to Ubisoft simply being Ubisoft, and now he'll get control of the piano area. Lovely C4 gets tossed up and lands onto the feet of Noodle, giving that first pick to Emergence. And I hate to be rude to you on your birthday, Power, but this does technically make it a 5-on-3 unless you can finally prove me wrong and find your frag.
Oh man, that Power stat line of not getting any kills until overtime is like, it's not so unrealistic at the moment. Perplexed with another through the vertical, fighting, holding off. Oh, there we are!
Oh! The birthday boy's done it, Reese! Oh my god!
Let's go! Power, he got a kill. And GDK are just absolutely winning. Emergence have a defender up here. Power is gonna solo clear. He steps through the wall. Oh, but he doesn't check the corner. Oh, engage, come on. Engage. Oh, he survives. Hazmat luckily comes in to save things. 3 versus 3. Man, GDK. I don't know about this one. This could be overtime right here.
We have a possible plus 12 round match brewing up, but another C4 gets tossed by Son of Finn. It's up to Power and Luck. The lowest standing players in terms of kill potential have to come up big to ensure GDK does not get eliminated out here on Cafe and try to fight back against the technically 4th seeded team as of now in the 2nd division, the road division here for Unified. Luck tries to drop down the hatch as his teammates already dropped dead, but it's not going to happen in time. It's a quick trade, and Emergence will take this match 7-5. I can't believe how close we got, and I really would have preferred overtime, but hey, at the end of the day, at least Power got his frag, Reese.
At least Power got his frag. That's what we can say. He didn't drop a donut. Matters. He at least moved it up to a breadstick by the time the game was over. And Emergence already were established. They're going to playoffs. They're locked in. Nothing can change that now, but they're going to end their regular season run with a victory behind them, and that's always a good feeling to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that definitely leaves a lot of questions for Emergence. If they were not fully trying, then that might be understandable. But if they were actually having some serious issues in that match against GDK, a team that's not going to be qualifying, I don't know how well they're going to perform in the playoffs. But a win nonetheless is still a win. And with all that being said, that's it for us here on the R6 team. I've been Fellow, joined here by Reese, and we hope to all see you again, possibly tomorrow for some more R6 matches. And we'll get that confirmed for you probably by tomorrow to actually make sure if there will be a stream or not. But hope you all have a great rest of your night, and to see you again for our next R6 match coming soon.